Bismillah, alhamdulillah, peace be with you. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you for tuning in to the Dean Show. Always exciting. Every week a brand new show, a brand new guest. And with us today, we know that according to the Guinness Book of World Records,
it's the world's fastest growing religion, Islam.
This way of life that brings peace, prosperity, purpose, gives you purpose. What's the purpose of life? Is it to acquire a lot of wealth, money, entertainment, numbing your mind with music, movies, and then what? That's it? That's all you got? But this person went beyond that. He was searching for the truth and he found it. But guess where? You won't believe it. This is a surprise. My next guest accepted Islam back in 2003. He was an MP for the U.S. Army. We'll be right back with the surprise guest here to tell us his story. Don't go nowhere.
This is the Dean Show. 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 This is the Dean Show.
And back here, told you surprise, Terry Holbrooks, the author of Traitor. How you doing?
Alhamdulillah, it's a pleasure to be here. Jazakallah khairan.
I'm really excited. You know, some people buy a Japanese car, and we buy Chinese every day, don't we? But we don't get people, driving Mercedes-Benz German car. But when you buy a car, or you buy a product or any of these things from a foreign country, people don't consider you a traitor, do they?
Well, I guess that's the difference between a religion and a car.
But I mean, this is even more important.
Most definitely.
And you came to this beautiful way of life, the way of life that Jesus lived. Jesus was a Muslim. He submitted to the will of God in 2003. But the surprise was, I said, you accepted it in a place that is a scary, scary place. It's out there in Cuba, right?
Correct.
Tell us about this. In 2003, tell us the story. Let's go way back then. But you know what? Before we even go to that, we're not going to reveal the place. Some people have heard your story. Many people haven't. What were you before you accepted Islam? Your parents were practicing Christians?
My biological parents weren't religious in the slightest. When I was 7, I went to live with my grandparents due to them having just difficulties with each other. My grandfather was Catholic and my grandmother was Protestant. And being that neither one of them felt that one religion was better than the other, they didn't tell me that I should be a Catholic or a Protestant. They told me I should think for myself, I should study the religions of the world, and I should make my own decisions.
Most people aren't even thinking about religion. You heard me open the show. I said, look, they're talking about partying, numbing the mind with music, entertainment, right? Strip clubs, parties, social gatherings. It's all about fun, And those big parties of fun, big side effects, drugs. People are just all over the place.
Unwanted pregnancies,
STDs, all sorts of corruptions out there, and people are just still suicidal from all this fun, right? Xanax and all the other things. I mean, how did you flip? I mean, did you go through this phase in life?
I had a rebellious streak for a while. It was about the time that I turned 18 that it just wasn't going to happen. I put myself through high school and I got out of there early. I went to a trade school, the Conservatory of Recording Arts and Sciences. I was 18 years old. I'd already accomplished this and was sitting around doing nothing. I was going down that path that you're talking about, and that wasn't what I wanted. That wasn't the future that I wanted. I looked on the television, and of course, television was in full swing with the recruitment commercials for the Army. 9/11 had happened, and they needed soldiers. So I thought to myself, that's probably a good step. I can get some discipline, get some structure and order, and it'll look good on a job application for the rest of my life.
Muhammad Ali accepted Islam. He was not considered a traitor, was he? He was a world famous boxer. He's gone down in history as one of the greatest athletes of all time. And the list goes on, so many people to mention. He was just one of them that came to mind. But why did you call your book Traitor? I mean, were your peers, now you went to the army just because you were someone who chose to submit to the Creator, not to the creation. That's what a Muslim is. Abraham was a Muslim. He was not a Jew or a Christian. He was one who submitted to the will of God. He didn't worship himself or Jesus or monkey or stars or suns or anything in the creation. You wanted to worship the Creator. You became a Muslim. That's what a Muslim is. And you were labeled a traitor. Why is that?
If I could answer that question, I probably wouldn't have used it as the name for my book. The name itself was actually inspired from a Newsweek article that came out back in 2009. I think within 18 hours there was 3,000 comments on that article, and the majority of them were calling me a traitor to the country, a race traitor, any variation of the word traitor. It was used. And the way African Americans have reclaimed a word that was used against them in a very negative way is what I'm doing with the word traitor. You want to call me a traitor? Fine, I'll embrace it. Explain to me, tell me, how am I a traitor?
I'm an American. You were American?
Correct.
Did you now, except in Islam, did you become an Arab?
No.
Did you change? Did your DNA change or something?
No. To the best of my knowledge, it's still the same.
And most of us here that were born here. I was born here. I love my country. I wouldn't want to live anywhere else. You know, a lot of the things that we see out there, because we're commanded to invite people to good, to try to get people away from things that aren't good for them. So to invite people to the purpose of life and to share this beautiful way of life. So, you know, there's nothing wrong with that, is there?
Not that I can think of.
Yeah. So let's continue on. Now, is it because you agreed with certain things like 9/11? What are your thoughts on 9/11? We know that this show, that the scholars that we've had, we've condemned it. Maybe you got some, because I haven't talked to you really prior to this. Maybe because, did you agree with things that happened on 9/11?
Did I agree with any act of terrorism? No. Do I agree with what the 9/11 Commission report said is what happened? No. We could go on for probably a good number of hours discussing what I think happened on that day, but it's best if we just leave it as some men did something very horrific and they did it in the name of Islam, and I don't think any conscious and true Muslim would have done what they did.
And what caught my eye is more than 1,300 architects and engineers examined the evidence about Building 7's collapse and disagree with the official report issued by the National Institute of Standards and Technology. I certainly am much more open-minded about it than I was, and it is because of the involvement of the 9/11 families and all these engineers and architects.
You are about to hear from architect of 23 years, Richard Gage, AIA, member of the American Institute of Architects and founder of Architects and Engineers for 9/11 Truth. Now there are more than 1,500 architects and engineers who say that it could not have been brought down by office fires. They are backed by 9/11 family members who are calling for an independent, unbiased investigation.
I'm a family member trying to find out the answers to the murder of 3,000 plus people. The bottom line is that it needs to be investigated properly.
Please look at architects and engineers. People all around the world, scientists all around the world are questioning this. And there's some deep, deep explaining to do.
It took some kind of consciousness raising on my part before I was willing to